Welcome, everybody. Special guest today, Cassi from Cornerstone Solutions.
People Solutions, yeah.
Co-founder, director, co-everything. Been there for doing that for around 15 years or so with her partner, Rachel.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously giving up some time today to jump on and share her story and add some value to the group and give us hopefully some good advice and some opinions on how you see the industry and what it's going to look like moving forward. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Josh.
As always, I like to start with letting people tell us their backstory or their origin story of how they got into travel and this crazy world we're all in the first place and what led you to where you are today.
So many things. It's such a good question. And thank you, everybody, for actually watching, if anybody's watching. Who knows? Hey, Josh, they might not. So, yeah, look, to answer the question and the co thing, Rach and I obviously started the business, as Josh said, about 15 years ago and fun co-everything. It's almost like sometimes we're in each other's heads a little bit too much, which is sometimes really good and sometimes not so good. And before that, we both are ex-flight centre people. For about 10 and a half years. We were there for a little bit over 10 years each. And for whatever reason, I say this story all the time. So for people that do know us, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't, but for those that do, I apologise for repeating this story. We thought for whatever reason that it was going to be a good idea to start our own business when we started having children, started having families. Yeah, so it's been a really interesting sort of 15-year trajectory, just because, you come out of that red and white learning so much. We're very grateful for the experience that we had there back in the olden days. It was a long time ago, and we did learn a lot and met some incredible people, a lot of which we're still friends with, I catch up with every now and again. Like it's, as a lot of people are aware of, it's an incredible community, but we also thought we knew a lot more than we actually did. And so it was one of those things where we kind of thought, great idea, let's start a business, let's take all of this beautiful stuff to the world, because the world wants us, right? And wants to hear us and wants to listen to us. And, so that's been an interesting journey. And I think we've been very, very lucky over the last 15 years to kind of always stick with the travel industry. We've had lots of other clients, but we've not actively gone out to look for those other clients. We've really stuck with what we love and our passion and what we know. And very luckily, the travel industry stuck with us and let us kind of, move through it and keep going, which is awesome.
And for those that don't know, in a nutshell, what is it that you guys actually do?
Well, yeah, that would be interesting to know, wouldn't it? Look, we do, predominantly we are a training business. If you were going to put sort of an umbrella or a heading over the top of it, we're a training organisation. But, and we've had a couple of different sort of transitions into what we are right now. And I think realistically I don't even want to say goal, but just our reason for being here, what it is, that we love to do and are trying really hard to do, I guess, is just help people in the industry be stronger, be better than they were yesterday, and just have a bit of resilience. So, even pre-COVID, if we could kind of spend time with anybody and help them get back out into their business and just have a better day as far as what they're doing transactionally, as far as what they're doing as human beings, as people, then that was what we were always working towards. And there's been many different ways we've gone about that, which I'm sure we'll talk about, up to what we're currently doing now. But ultimately, it was really about helping people be better for themselves, not necessarily, it's not even just like, you have to be making bookings better and you have to be having better conversations. It's just, what can I do tomorrow to make this job a better job for me? Yeah.
And how's the last few months been for you guys, obviously from maybe a personal perspective and homeschooling or whatever you've been through to, obviously how the business has probably been affected as well. How's the world of COVID treated you guys?
It's been incredible, actually, and very intense. I think I was saying that to you earlier, really intense for us. And I know it's been intense for so many people and for different reasons for everybody, and particularly our incredible industry, the intensity and the ferocity, is that the right word? How ferocious
Sure.
it is. Yeah. I know I make words up all the time. How ferocious it is that what everyone's been going through, and how it's kind of almost attacked people, I think, to a certain extent. That I'm not saying anything that people don't understand with this intensity, but Rachel and I are very good at creating our own intensity and mayhem to a certain extent. And, as far as the business goes, there's obviously the personal impact and the professional impact. And professionally, we went from being in a position where we had decided how we were going to structure our business moving forward, and really streamlined everything and really kind of pared things down. And it was looking beautiful. Like the next 12 months to 2 years were kind of set up, and, we had our programs in place and beautiful partnerships with amazing organisations in this industry. And then same with everybody else. So, it's just that flow on effect. Within a week, we had nothing, no work really, a little bit that, we could kind of keep working with. And so then it kind of trickled over to the personal side, where we're like, maybe we can actually stop working 15 hours a day. And, maybe we can actually spend some time with our family. And so there was that, as everybody's going through and still going through, it's that balancing act of, this is really sad, but this is really awesome. So the personal side was actually really lovely to begin with, because there was this breathing space, that really being able to just kind of go, okay, I can let my breath out. I can just think about what I want to do when I get out of bed and all of that sort of stuff. And then we started doing some freebie webinars for the industry. We just sort of thought, right, we can't do nothing every day, so let's do some little webinars and let's get some stuff happening. And we ran a few for AFTA and, for some of our partners and all of that sort of stuff. And then we were like, this is not enough. We're not getting enough people on it. We're not getting enough sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say the word out there, because it's not that. It's just this notion of how can we actually provide an opportunity for people to be engaged during this time while they're at home, but be engaged in a way that it's nurturing them and giving them something at the end as well, kind of thing. And so we came up with this conscious leadership program that we're running at the moment. And it was, I'm not going to use the word pivot, it was a very big change for us, because we're quite tactile and we're quite face-to-face. We're both fairly extroverted, so everything's always face-to-face. Like we do run webinars, but not predominantly. And, our reputation, I guess, to a certain extent, is that people come into us and they get to know us and they become kind of part of our family. And then all of a sudden we had to think about doing something differently. And so that's where our intensity has come from, because it's been a massive, massive amount of work to actually deliver this to the industry. And because, we decided to do it one day, we had people enrolled the next day, and then all of a sudden we've got all of this work that we need to actually produce while we're delivering it, kind of thing.
And it's called conscious leadership?
Yeah, the conscious leadership, or the conscious leader program. Yeah.
And in a nutshell, what is it? How would you describe it to somebody?
A really good question. Look, as far as the nuts and bolts go, we've designed it as an online program. So everyone does or attends, if they choose to, or what we're calling the masterclasses. So we're running a number of them every week for everyone that's enrolled in the program, and we have repetitions of them. So if you miss out, you get to come to another one. We're recording them. We've got private Facebook groups, and they're all on there for everyone to watch. So that little aspect there, or that conversation I'm talking about, really was how we're trying to create the togetherness for those people that are on it. Because what we've found with that is that, in the industry in the past, I think, and I hope this is okay to say to everybody, or the two people that are watching, that, there's competition obviously between the brands. And we've experienced a lot through our 15 years where organisations are kind of like, well, if you're presenting this at our conference, you can't be presenting it at somebody else's conference. Or if we're sending people in to come and do sales training with you, you can't be teaching other companies that sales training. And I get it, like I totally understand it, but we're not getting paid a retainer. We're not on your books. So how do we kind of navigate this in this industry? And this experience now has been totally the opposite. We have got so many people enrolled and so many people participating and sharing and looking after each other and discussing, and they're all cross-branding, and it's just beautiful. Like, it's a really lovely experience. So that's kind of that face, or, you know, the replacing the face-to-face aspect of it during the Zooms, or on the Zooms during the week. So we're Zooming our backsides off at the moment, as you can imagine. But the content being conscious leader or conscious leadership, we're really trying to take it from a standpoint of you are the leader of yourself. So it doesn't mean you have to have a team of 15 people or 2 people. It's you know, what does it take for you to be very conscious as a human being, as an individual, and then how can you create that environment? So whether it's your family, your friendship group, your community, or your workplace, where everybody else is able to operate at a conscious level to make really conscious decisions, you know, and create an environment and operate in an environment where people are able to get things done that they are engaged in and want to be doing versus have to be doing and should be doing all the time. That's a tiny little snippet of it. There's a lot more to it, but that's kind of it in a nutshell.
So obviously you saw a need for that type of training in the industry, or a gap in the market, or whichever way we come up with our ideas.
Yeah.
What led you to that point? What other things are you seeing in the industry that's possibly needed? What are some of your opinions on how things were possibly maybe even going up until this point? And I guess we're all seeing COVID as a situation that's escalated a lot of things, you know, to possibly where they could have been, you know, going towards anyway, just maybe quicker. So
yes.
what are you, you know, obviously you've come up with this plan to help everybody, you know, be conscious leaders, but is there other stuff as well that you've got some opinions on, I guess, that we'd like to hear? And you can be honest, brutal, as much as you think that we can get away with.
We can get,
But you know, that's where we're at the moment. I think you know, it's June. You know, we've been in this for 3 months. We know some stuff. You know, we're allowed back to the pubs now. You know, let's have our pub conversation. You know, and I used to use that all the time. I'm like, you know, there's the work conversation I'm going to have with you, and then there's the pub conversation I'm going to have with you. I would like to hear the pub version. Of what your thoughts are around what are we going through, what are we heading towards, and what should we be preparing for.
This is interesting because unlike a lot of people in COVID, I'm not drinking at the moment, and it's kind of like I need to just take myself back to, you know, 6 months ago when I could have actually sat here on a Friday afternoon with a wine and had this conversation with you. Look, the pub version, or even just what is my version, I think there's so many things. And some of it comes about just through experiences. I'll say Rach and I, and, you know, all the beautiful people that we work with, and people that are kind of in our network, I guess, of what we're all trying to achieve. As far as this consciousness journey goes, and as far as helping people become more conscious and so on and so forth, it's kind of come about, as I said, from what we've been doing. So Rach and I have been doing a lot of work over the last sort of 3 years to develop that in ourselves and in anybody else who will listen and talk to us about it. And I think because of that, it's raised our awareness very much so around where people are lacking their own self-awareness and their own consciousness. And that's not to say we are masters at it. Like, we are learning so much, even just throughout this process of running this program. And I think my next statement's not going to be news to anybody. Probably the biggest point maybe is just this hamster wheel that everyone has been on the last however many years, probably their whole adult life, really. And that's what the modern world has been asking of people over the last 50 years, is to just get on this hamster wheel and stay on this hamster wheel. And if you do, you will be happy, you will be successful. You know, if you work really hard, you'll get lots of money and you'll have that big house and everything will be beautiful. And it's not cutting the mustard. People, we all know this. I'm saying what everybody knows, that, you know, we all know this from suicide rates and depression rates and people being disengaged and not happy and all of that sort of stuff. We're just noticing it so much. And it's not just the travel industry, but we feel like we are the travel industry. The travel industry is ours as far as where we want to put our energy. We will put our energy where everybody wants it to be, kind of thing, in this space. And it's more so here, I think, to a certain extent. I mean, it is everywhere. I shouldn't say that, but I think for our beautiful industry and the people in our industry, they're not taught how to be resilient. They're not taught how to move from, I'm on a frontline sales role, and then I become a team leader, or I purchase a business. And I don't have any way of actually learning how to have the fortitude to run this business. So it's not even necessarily the skills, the leadership skills and the financial skills. I mean, that's one box, absolutely. But it's the nervous system, it's the energy system that we have in us that is all completely stuffed. Like it's ridiculous because we're all just frazzled the whole time, and we're frantic, and we think we have to take the kids to 50 sports activities, and we think we need to go to the pub every time someone asks, and we need to have everyone over for dinner parties, all whilst being a really successful worker in whatever job I'm choosing to do. And we can't do it anymore. We just can't. The world's telling us we can't do it. Our mental state and our bodies are telling us we can't do it. And so this kind of came about as a vehicle for us, I guess, to hopefully just, help people as much as they possibly can get a bit of knowledge, because there's knowledge that needs to be gathered, and then to hopefully have enough discussions with us and each other about how to build that into some wisdom and some intelligence. So, how am I going to apply all this stuff that I'm learning? How am I going to remain self-aware? How am I going to calm this nervous system down that's just sending me a little bit mental the whole time, kind of thing? So I think I've spoken big picture about it. I probably haven't done the pub version as far as getting into the nitty-gritty of where I've seen it. But that definitely is like the broader picture of it, I think.
Well, if I can, I guess, try to align that with maybe some of the other conversations that we've been having on here with
awesome.
some agents, suppliers, reps, founders, everybody who's been on. A lot of conversations are coming around, doing what you know to be true, and looking after the customers that you want to look after, selling the travel that you want to sell, being aware of your footprint and what that does when you do travel.
Exactly.
Selling a certain type of product just for the sake of that commission check, as opposed to selling the right product for the right customer, and all of it's just being really aware. And I think when you're mentioning awareness and being conscious and not being stuck on the hamster wheel, and really taking some, I guess, self-care and making sure that you're doing what's right for you and what's right by you, and obviously in turn your customers and everything that you believe in, which is that being the world's greatest travel agent is a great thing to provide to society, and to your travel community, and that if somebody is going to travel this world, then doing it with you as an agent is their best choice. And you can back that up.
The perfect choice.
You can back that up because you really strongly believe, hand on heart, that what you're talking about is what you're passionate about, and you believe in what you're selling, because you've done the work all the time to become aware enough and true to yourself and to what you're doing, that when you do sell that, and it isn't because you've got great sales skills or sales language, or you've done a cool NLP course. It's because you really believe in it, and you're doing the right thing by you and the customer.
And I think it kind of, it's similar semantics, but it is a little bit of a different concept. It's being awake, and I think we've all been asleep for so long. And I think this COVID situation, and, everybody's talking about this. I'm not going to say anything that is revolutionary, but the world is trying to shake us. Like, our earth is saying something to us at the moment, and we have to be awake to hear it, because if we're asleep, we're not going to hear it. And we are then going to get back on that hamster wheel and just continue what we have been doing. And we've, dare I say it, squandered this opportunity. And I'm not saying that it's an opportunity because it's been amazing. I think that thought process is also a result of being on the hamster wheel, that opportunities have to be love and light. It's not the way it works. Pain is good. And I don't mean fetish, that's up to other people. It's like, pain, you go to the gym, you lift some weights, it hurts, but you're building your muscles. And it's the same for resilience. It's the same for mental stability, all of that sort of stuff. This is very painful for a lot of people at the moment, and that presents an opportunity to be more awake And if I'm awake, the way I engage with you as my client is very different to when I'm asleep. And people pick up on that. People need that. So it's not even a strategy. It's just a way of being. And, you know, a lot of what we're kind of talking about in this program is obviously all of that. It's very conceptualized. But it's also that thing of, okay, what can you do as a conscious, awake human being to allow this state to be consistent, to allow this state to just be something that is. Like, you don't even have to think about it. You just bring yourself to your job, to your family, to your community as this type of person, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep.
Yeah, well, it is. I'm sorry. I have to.
It's great.
See,
it's
this
great.
is why we do need the wine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Monday at 9 o'clock.
Sorry, Monday at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Have you seen the late night shows that are filmed at lunchtime?
Yeah, you need that one out.
They always pretend. But no, seriously, I mean, that makes sense. And I think for anybody that's watching, they're probably, you know, little bits of that is resonating with them. And going, you know what, that kind of makes sense. You know, that's, you know, this is an opportunity to hit reset buttons. It is an opportunity to get off the wheel. It is an opportunity to jump off the wheel and then look at what the wheel looks like from the outside in.
Totally. Yeah.
And then and to identify what parts of it you loved and what parts of it you maybe didn't.
Yeah. And I've said this a million times in the last 3 months, and I'm sure people want to slap me because of it, but we live in the best country in the world. We kind of all know this. So we are very privileged, and we have this privilege opportunity at the moment to be able to look at it, because we have JobKeeper up till September. Who knows what's going to happen after that? But, you know, there's enough in our country and our world for us to be able to take that breath and to breathe and to actually just look at what we want it to look like when we come out the other side.
Yeah. And as you said, people don't get taught the resilience. You know, I even think about it sometimes with my kids, and I think I might have said this before on an interview and with somebody, but it was, you know, I said it to a mate once, and he kind of looked at me funny, but I believe in it. It's, you know, you give your kids everything you want, you know, them to have, and that they want for nothing. They've all got, you know, too many screens, and they are going to all the different sports, and they never want for anything, because that's just, as a parent, that's what you want to do. And you know, but if you ever have that opportunity to for your kid to get that figuratively, you know, that metaphorical punch in the face, you know, that you know, for them to ever have an opportunity to have a setback, you know, to have something that hits them hard or makes it harder for them. And the homeschooling stuff was a challenge, and I'm sure there's more challenges to come, but you know, we all want this abundance and this beautiful travel industry that we all want to be a part of. And we're all off on educationals and familials, and we're on cocktail parties, and we're at Travel League or whatever it is that we're doing. We're all having a great time, all patting each other on the back and having, you know, boozy lunches. Yeah. But the reality is that if it's always like that, when this happens, no one's fucking ready for it.
No one's ready for it, and no one can deal with it. And and it's interesting what you're saying, because it is like we all get together and we love each other's asses so much, and it's all awesome, and we're all, you know, in this awesome, beautiful existence and loving ourselves for working in this industry. But then we go back and we deal with the clients and we think they're all dickheads. It doesn't make sense, and this is the thing that we kind of need to wake up to. Is it's never going to look the same. All of that beautiful stuff you were just talking about is not going to be there when we come out the other side. I don't mean we're not going to have Travel League. I mean, let's be honest, there'll always be Travel League, but maybe not. It's like, you know, 100 people maybe. But, you know, metaphorically, I'm sure there will always be some sort of Travel League. But it's this inability that has come about in our existence, in our world as human beings, to not be able to deal with this stuff when it first happens or in the long term. Now, I'm going to contradict myself, because I think one of the things our industry has shown over this period of time is that they are actually dealing with this period really well, the individuals within it. Like, I have shed many tears, but not like just looking at what people are doing and going through, and like, it's freaking amazing. Like our people, like, it breaks my heart. Like,
and they're still doing it.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's horrendous.
A cancellation, a refund, a cancellation, a refund, a cancellation, a refund.
And
whether that's suppliers or wholesalers or frontline agents, everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
And this is where I came from with starting this group.
Yeah, sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, it's fine. But when we first started this group, or when I first started this group, was I was watching all of this stuff happen around me, and I felt like the least affected person in the industry from what I did as a job every day compared to what everybody else was.
Yeah, totally.
And you are you're bleeding for them, you're crying for them, and you're upset for everybody, but they're actually still there.
They are doing
they haven't walked away. You could walk away. You go, why the fuck would I continue to keep doing this?
It breaks my heart. Like,
but they're still there.
They're still fucking doing it. Like, it's, I don't know. And I think they're the most incredible people out of any industry in my mind. And I was saying this to you earlier. Like, there's so many industries that have been advocated for in this situation, and even with the bushfires and all that sort of stuff. And I don't think anyone in our industry's not thought what I'm about to say, but there's no one advocating for us. Not one person is advocating for us, to government, to, like, so beautiful. AFTA, gorgeous organisation, did the, let's book locally, and then the government gets behind it. But who's saying book with a goddamn travel agent? Nobody. We are, but as in us on this Facebook page, but nobody else is. No. So if anyone wants to lobby government, that's what we need to be doing.
Yeah, look, there's been a little bit out there. I mean, David Swanborough we had on a week or so ago. He's doing some stuff, and there are pockets of people fighting the big fight as little people. And you're right, we need
to come together as an industry. Like, it needs to be, we are a massive industry. We have incredible people in our industry who, as you say, are still fighting the fight. Like, they're still doing what they're doing for no money, have been doing for 3 to 4 months. But no one's talking about it as a collective. I guess that's probably the better way to articulate it, because there are some incredible people, as you say.
Yeah, but then we get on the project or the whatever, and they give us half a second to tell our story.
Yeah.
And then they rebut it straight away, edit the shit out of it, rebut it straight away.
Yeah.
Put an expert of some sort somewhere that says, actually, but the ACCC jump on and. They're whatever they're
debunk everything.
Debunk everything. Well, I mean, what was the point? Almost what was the point? So
it makes us look stupid.
It does make us look stupid. And look, we haven't been perfect through this. As an industry, we haven't been. If we were perfect, then none of that stuff would have come out.
No.
You can't make up stuff about things that aren't a little bit there. In some way, shape or form. You can't pull it from thin air. It has to have some level of truth, otherwise people won't believe it. You can amplify it, you can exaggerate it, you can only show the bad and never show the good. There's got to be a little bit of bad there.
Cherry pick the information.
There has to be a little bit of bad there for there to be at least a conversation starter. And we all know, and we're kidding ourselves if we don't go hand on heart. Every single one of us, no matter the brand, no matter the business, no matter the individual, there is some stuff that we have done that we could have been doing better.
Absolutely. But hey, that's the opportunity again,
this is the opportunity. This is what we're talking about.
So we have the opportunity to look at how we want to behave as a human being. That's awareness, that's being awake. We have an opportunity to look at how we want to behave as a family, as a friendship group, as communities. Like, we don't have to keep doing what we were doing. And then particularly as an industry, there's so many fundamental flaws in the way the finances work in our industry in Australia that don't occur in other countries. So, we don't have to just keep doing what we've always been doing just because we've always done it. We all know that's the definition of insanity. So why would we, kind of thing? And that little bit of pain is where we need to just, use that pain and go, what are we going to do differently because of it? It's the growth mindset. It's, like everyone, it's so interesting, I think.
It is. And I'm sure we could probably spend another 7 hours dissecting it all. No, not at all. I think, and I'm the same, I'm quite passionate about all of this as well. So I'm sure we can continue on. But, what about some real tangible, simple advice maybe that you could give that people could at least just go, you know what, I've watched it, you know, Cassie has some great ideas. You know, a lot of that resonated with me. Maybe they want to do your training, maybe they don't.
Yeah,
But
so be it. Yeah.
What do you reckon they should do right now, tomorrow, next week, next month? What should agents be really focusing on? You know,
to come out the other side, kind of thing.
To come out and at least just to take a step forward, you know, from here.
Yeah, I think I would love to think that for the most part, people have been doing what my first suggestion would always be, which is to actually take the time, but to take the time wisely. So, you know, there was that period of time at the start where everyone was loving being in their pajamas and not having to get up and go to work and travel and, you know, in traffic and all of that sort of stuff. And that was awesome, because I think that was the coming down from the hamster wheel kind of thing. You know, like when you get off that roundabout and you just, you know, at the show when it goes around in circles and you've got to get off it and you're sort of doing this. So we needed that very much so. And so I feel like probably for the most part, people are in that next stage where they're kind of going, okay, well, what am I going to do? And I think that ultimately it is actually okay to not be doing anything. It is really okay to just be still for a little bit. And I don't mean lounging around in your pajamas. That's different. That was resting. That was coming down. That was coming off the you know, the hamster wheel. But it's really that thing of going, okay, what do I need to do for myself so that when I do go back out there, I'm more resilient, I'm stronger, I've got a stronger nervous system, I'm really strengthened internally. And we need to do that. Like, we could be sitting here now writing all these beautiful business plans for ourselves as individuals. What do I want to achieve and where do I want to work? Or, you know, how am I going to get money in for the next 12 months and all that sort of stuff, which is important. I'm not saying that's not important, but what I do believe very strongly is if that's all I'm focusing on and I'm not focusing on building that internal strength and that resilience internally, that's just going to turn to shit in the end anyway. That will just be another hamster wheel. It's just a different hamster wheel. And I think we need to definitely know what we want to be doing moving forward, but it's time to actually do some strong work on ourselves, not just, I'd be careful what I say, because I feel like in saying what I'm saying, I'm not trying to knock what anyone is doing, because I think it's awesome. If you sit on your couch all day and read a book, good on you, like bloody power to you. However, if you want to actually make some changes coming out of it, then something else needs to be done as well. And I think that this is an opportune time to really do that, to really work on building your internal resilience. How many times can I say it?
Well, I think, you know, what you said before about the gym analogy.
Yes.
I think that sits there as well. You know, you could go to the gym and lift the exact same weight and do the exact same exercise, and you could feel like you're doing stuff. Yeah. I'm doing stuff. Yeah. But you won't be getting stronger.
Same. It's just same.
So whatever you are doing, even if it makes you feel like you're doing something, I think we all know it, and we just probably don't admit it to ourselves. Yeah. We all know that there's another level. There's a little bit more that we can be doing, so that we can be that stronger and be more resilient and have more awareness and be stronger in our convictions and all those things. So I think hearing all of that for me is, and personally, I'm taking all of this on board as well, is that, you know, there's a little bit more that I can give, and that's giving it to myself, you know, and I'm
totally. Okay. This is, when do we ever in our lives have an opportunity, unless we actually make a decision to make that time happen, where we can do this? You know, it's you know, when on a Friday afternoon would you and I have been able to sit here for 2 hours talking? Monday morning. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just, there's so many differences. And again, this is hard sometimes because people do struggle with things when they are different. But, you know, we always pride ourselves in this industry on dealing with change, right? We always say that we're so used to change and we're so good with change. And so let's use that. Let's use that ability to navigate change to actually turn it around a little bit, turn that mirror around and go, what am I doing? What am I doing with myself? What am I doing with my life? We could say that, you know, but it's, you know, what you're bringing into it. And I guess my caveat around that, what I will say to that is, just because that question's a big question doesn't mean the answer has to be big. It can be really little stuff. Like, you know, we don't know what it's going to look like coming out the other side of this. It is going to look different. I think we could all probably agree on that. So maybe I do want to take a break. Maybe I do want to just go and work in Coles and stack shelves for 6 months, because why wouldn't I? It doesn't mean that whatever decision I make is my lifelong decision, because, you know, as we know, things can change very quickly and it can turn in another direction tomorrow, kind of thing. So it's got to be about the best decision for us, I think, moving forward. Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of people, and what I've heard come out of it, is that a lot of people have removed that identity of Josh the travel agent.
So true.
You know, because if you can't say that, you know, that people are actually trying to figure out, you know, who's Josh and what's that guy?
Where does Josh come from?
What's that all about, as opposed to, you know, hi, I'm Josh. I work in travel.
Yeah.
You know, who are you? You know, it's not who defined. It's not how we're defined. It's not.
And what a good thing, though, right? Like, it's awesome. And again, that causes a bit of an upheaval for people and a little bit of pain, because that's just their habit, their perception, their reality kind of thing. And as we know, everything's just getting pushed at and pulled at and poked a little bit. And it's, and that's a good thing. Like, it's okay. All of it's okay. It's beautiful. We've got so many good stuff, you know, so many good stuff, so many good things, so much good stuff.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think I train for a living, would you?
Oh, this is hilarious. Honestly, I don't even know where to go from here. I think we've got off in so many different tangents now.
Sorry.
I've lost my flow. But it's just a good thing, because that's the disruption. You know, we all need the disruption. We all need to have that metaphorical punch in the face, I guess, sometimes. And
I do love that.
You know, that's how we grow, and it's how, hopefully, as an industry, we grow and we come out better, and we fix all the things that we've always wanted to fix. And
as long as we're awake to it. We've got to be awake.
We're awake enough and aware enough to know, and we get off the hamster wheel, and we stop doing the same things over and over again. And there are things that, you know, that have changed and move quickly, but there are other things that haven't changed for 35 years. And you know, this has just escalated everything and highlighted so many of those things. And I'm excited, you know, in a sense, as much as it's going to be disappointing for a lot of people that may not necessarily be here on the other side, because you know, it's becoming quite evident that, you know, that it's going to be a smaller industry, at least to begin with. But, you know, maybe that's a chance for it to rebuild, you know, with a better foundation, stronger foundation, with better values and better ways of doing things, you know.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, like, we've all seen it with different organisations, you know, in and out of the travel industry. I'm not necessarily saying anyone even particularly in the travel industry, but when businesses are small, there's a certain, you know, culture. I'll use the word culture, but, you know, the environment, the vibe, whatever it is, that feeling that business has definitely changes, and not always for the better as the business grows. And it's the same with industries. Our industry 30 years ago was very different to what it is right now, and for better or worse, that's what it is. So in a rebuilding, it's like the muscle analogy again. Like, you know, there's a lot of pain going on, but that rebuilding can be amazing. Like, we've got such an amazing opportunity to create this into what we actually want it to be, rather than just being passengers. And I think that's what sometimes happens in this industry. There's an element of just going along for the ride, and I think we've got an opportunity now to actually drive it a little bit more than we have in the past, most definitely.
Absolutely. Look, I think we might leave it there, because I think we're going for forever, which is great. Yeah, you've obviously got so much to offer, and I've really enjoyed our chat, and this has been great and eye-opening for me. I'm going to have to watch it back a couple of times myself, and take some nuggets out of it, no doubt. But before we do let you go, and let everybody else go, if they're still hanging on there and watching,
sorry.
Anyone else that you could think of in the industry, maybe some nominations, or someone that you could think might want to share their story and jump on and have a good old waffle like we have?
The two people that I thought of to start off with, I feel like you may have already spoken to. So have you spoken to Pete and Ingrid? Pete Rawley? Yeah, get Pete and Ingrid on. They're awesome. Yeah, and they've got a great story. Pete's, Pete's been around for 100 years. He's been around longer than me. So I think their story's awesome. I reckon because, in so many ways, particularly because, they had not long started their business before this happened. And, so I think they've got a beautiful story to tell, I think. Yeah. So I think they'd be good. Sorry, guys. Hope that's all right. I think Pete loves to talk. We all know Pete loves to talk, so that'd be fun.
Absolutely. And look, he was in Bangkok with us when this all happened. And
yes, that's right. Yeah.
Hit the fan. So it'd be good to see how he's gone over the last few months and what's been happening in their world. And it'd be good to get him on. And he's always good value anyway. So it'll be a good
I haven't checked with either of them, so I hope that's okay.
Man, it's as we say, it's like the push-up challenge. You don't have to check with people; you just nominate them.
Yeah, that's true. You just nominate them,
and they either do the push-ups or they don't. It's their choice.
Yeah. Ignore or take it on board.
But mate, as I said, that's a lot to digest in there, but some massive value, lots of good nuggets.
I hope so.
We'll drop the links down for everybody who's interested in exploring further and finding out more about what you're up to and what you guys are offering. And look, I really, I've enjoyed getting to know you, and I hope to catch up and talk more on the other side of all of this. And hopefully we're all
absolutely
part of this reinvented, industry, that we all hope that we're playing in on the other side of this. So it's exciting.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. It's been gorgeous.
We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right.
See you. Bye.